In this episode, I have a Sony tape deck. This one's a TCRX400 that was given to me. Guy that owned it said, "Here, just take it off my hand. You can have it." Doesn't work. So we're gonna figure out what's wrong with this one and get it going today. And I have a visitor to start off the show. I have a TCRX400. It's auto reverse cassette deck, Sony Dolby B and C. This one was given to me. Have no idea what the problem with it is. Chances are it's going to need belts. Let's plug it in and see what it does. Actually, before I plug it in, I'm going to take it apart. Don't plug it in, take it apart. We'll see, first of all, whether it's has a chance of working without doing anything, because I have a feeling that a unit of this age and vintage is probably going to need some work done before it even turns on. So here's the mechanical chassis of this one. This one's all belt driven, and well, that belt's actually in good shape. What about the it doesn't appear to be in too bad a shape. It's not broken, that's for sure. Let's just power this thing up and see whether it does anything. Might help if I turn my bench power on. I think it's gonna work without that. I don't see any smoke. I don't see anything turning, and the cassette compartment will not eject. Now this is one of these mechanisms that use a plunger to operate the cam gears and stuff. So there, now it's going. That's weird, it was stuck, but there's lots of torque on this belt. And of course now the cassette compartment opens. So it was stuck, the mechanism. Yeah, this is a single belt. This is a single belt system. The belt probably is slipping a little bit. It probably will need a new belt, which I should have. This is just a standard square belt on this one. I think we will change it, but let's just see first of all, does it actually work? It was stuck, and I say I just give it a bit of a flip. And the guy that gave me this tape deck, he gave me a bunch of his old cassettes too. He's transferring all of his material over to digital, and he's throwing away his cassettes. And I said, hey, listen, if you're tossing out cassettes, just give them to me. I'll bulk erase them, because most of these tapes don't have many plays on them, and some of these tapes are probably pretty good. Some of them are going to be cheap garbage, but other ones could actually be quite good tapes. So I got all these tapes now that I have received that I can use for testing and stuff, and to say a lot of them are high bias tapes. So if you guys need any alignment tapes, like for speed calibration and stuff, I've got a small collection of tapes that will be perfectly suited for that. And I just bulk erase them and reuse them, right? But I'd say a lot of them, some of them are crap, but others are actually good. They were like TDK and Maxell and stuff. So let's just see whether this thing does anything when I try to operate it. Okay, so it's trying to go into a mode, and it's stuck. Now is the motor turning? Oh yes, so the belt is slipping. So that's what the problem with this is. It's just this belt is not providing enough torque to operate the mechanism. So we need to change the belt. So let's get started, and then we'll test this thing out. And I bet you this tape deck will actually perform quite well. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the outer lid, get that out of the way. That way the deck can actually, I think, can be the entire deck. I think, maybe I'm mistaken on this. Don't know if the deck can actually be removed on this. It should be. I should be able to remove the entire deck from this unit. So I think the easiest way is just to remove the front, or remove the base of the unit. That way I can access the deck. This circuit board will be attached to the front. As you can see, the whole thing's attached on the front, so I'm going to remove the screws on the bottom, which will allow me to swing the base and the back cover out of the way so that I can access this thing. So 3 screws in the bottom. That slides out. And now, as you can see, the deck itself is separate from the rest of the unit. Do these unplug? I don't think they do on this one. These are hardwired in. This is when Sony started to go cheap. I'm going to remove the screws just so I can have these controls separate so that I can get rid of this cabinet. I don't have to have it swinging in the way. To get these ones out, you just press the little tabs in on the side and they'll release. And then you can turn them, I think, sideways and they'll go through the hole like that to get these out of the way. If you want to know where this one was made, yes, it was made in Japan. This was the downfall right here. This is when they started to really go downhill, because the day of being able to unplug things to work on them, it was gone by the time this one came out. I should be able to remove the deck now at this point. I should be, now that I've got it freed up enough, I should be able to take out the screws here and remove the deck to work on it. Because this is still one relatively complex mechanism. So there should be 4 screws around here that I can take out, and the mechanism itself should lift out. Get a Sanyo motor in it. You know, they make life's good things better. Isn't that what they used to say their slogan was? Okay. Deck lifts out like this. Just undo some wire clip here, wire tie. I think this might be some plugs. Whoops. Well, I just kind of buggered it up, didn't I? My counter belt came off. As did my hub and the spindle. Where did it go? There's a spring and the cap right here somewhere. There's the spring, and the hub is here somewhere. It fell apart when I lifted it off. So it's right there, part of it. There should be an end piece for it too. Let me just find the rest of the pieces that fell off. These, if you bump these things, they fall off, and the spring pushes the rest of the hub apart. There's the cap. Okay, so the cap is here. Spring goes on like that. The tape hub fits on here like this. Actually goes on that way. And this little cap clips onto the top. That's what holds that together. Belt goes around there for the tape counter. Oh, wonderful! Look at how dirty this is. We'll be cleaning this up while I've got it apart. I think this one unplugged, so I can undo a few plugs here and actually unplug the deck. This is the only thing that plugs in on this, is these plugs here. And now I can work on the deck away from the rest of the unit, which I can shove aside for now. The head plugs in over here. We're going to undo the head while I'm at it as well. Now this one you got to be careful of, because these wires are quite fine and they will break. So I generally, when I have to deal with these ones, I usually try to pop them up from below. Get my screwdriver in and just pop the plug apart without putting too much stress on the wires, because these are very fine wires, and if you put too much stress on them, they will break. Okay, now I can remove the screw that holds the board in place. See, this had all the record amp and everything, I think was all on this board, if I'm not mistaken. The record plate relay was there. And then if I pop this little clip here, this should lift out. Oops, I pulled that little switch out of there. Gotta put that back in. Okay, that's the board out there. This little switch popped in here. In case any of you are wondering where that little switch that came out goes, it just clips in right there. It's activated by this lever here that pushes up against it. Just a little leaf switch. Okay, time to take this thing apart and change out the belt. So unclip these wires. And it should be like one screw, I think, that holds this whole thing together, and it's this one right up here at the top. And if I remove that screw, this whole bracket should lift out of the way. It's a long screw, just so you know. The longer of these ones, right? Because another screw that held the board in was relatively long, but this one is the longer of the two. And I should be able to just lift this down and lift it down and open it up like that, and then the belt just comes off the top of the pulley, and there's the belt. Really quite easy to change. Here's the belt I need. This one is not broken, but it certainly is starting to stretch a bit. So let's go and find another belt that's about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller than this one. So off to my belt bin. See if I can find one for this. So to measure the belt, I've put a little push pin in right at the 1 inch mark. So we're going to subtract 1 inch from whatever number I get here, because of course I can't really push the push pin in at 0. It's because that's the edge of the ruler. So we take the belt and we stretch it out, and we find that this belt goes here to 5.5 inches. So we know we subtract 1, so we need a belt that's about 4.5 inches. So that's how we know the rough size of this belt. So 4.5 inches. So I'm going to go looking through my collection of belts, and I'm going to look for another belt that's approximately 4.5 inches, or goes to the 5.5 point. So obviously that one's too short, because it's got to come over to about here. This one here might do it. That might do it. That might be just a little bit too big, so that's a maybe. So we'll just put that one in the maybe pile. See if I can find one that's a little closer to the size. That one's way too big, so we can throw that one away. That one's obviously too short. Remember, I'm looking for one that's going to go to almost the 5.5 point. That one's probably a little bit too big, because this other belt, of course, is stretched, right? So we have to take some off of that. So I'll just put that one in the maybe pile there. I'm looking for one that's going to come up closer to about 5. That one might do it. That one might be okay. I'll just kind of put that one in the maybe pile too, as I go through the rest of these and find the different lengths. So now that one's 5, so that one might even be close. That might even be better. What's this one coming to? Okay, this is a little bit more than 5, but not 5.5. So this is also a good maybe. That one's way too short. That one's too big, because if we look at the original belt, which is the one that's stretched, is going out to the same size, although it doesn't have much elasticity left in it. The new one's going to have more elasticity than this. It's still too big. And that one's too big. And this one here. So that one's coming in just at about 5 on my or 4 inches, basically 5 on my ruler here. Here's the last two. That one's about 5, and this one here is just a bit more than 5. So I'm thinking one of these two belts here, either this one or this one here, and I think I'm going to go with this one that comes right to 5 inches. This will be a 4-inch belt. The original one was probably a 4-inch belt, and it's now stretched to 4.5. So that's the one I'm going to go with. So the belt goes around the pulley one way, around this pulley here, and then once the motor is pulled in place, it'll be pulled around like that. That'll give adequate torque to the flywheel that's going to control the mechanism, and of course the second flywheel will turn the opposite direction because it's an auto reverse. If it was a dual caps, then non-auto reverse, then the belts would go around both of them because both flywheels are going to turn the same direction. But in this case, one flywheel turns one way and one flywheel turns the other way. Now, if at this point in time I want to lubricate the flywheels, I could do that by just removing the retainer and then pulling the flywheel out and putting some oil on it and then putting it back in. So let's put a drop of oil on each of these flywheels. Somebody won't be happy that I'm going to use 3-in-1 electric motor oil, but you know what? This stuff is as good as anything for lubricating mechanisms. It's a 20 weight single weight oil without additives, and that's really the most important thing, is that you're putting in an oil that does not have additives in it. So in other words, no engine oil, because engine oil is has got a bunch of this had oil on it anyway, so I'm just kind of going through the motions because these had lots of lubricant on them. But you don't want to use engine oil because engine oil has detergents to clean up combustion particles, blow-by gases and stuff on an internal combustion engine. And you don't want that on your electronic devices. Electric motors don't need, because obviously there's no combustion blow-by and byproducts, you don't need any detergents in the oil. You just want a pure petroleum-based oil, and that's what this is. This is just a pure 20 weight petroleum-based oil distributed by the WD-40 company. But for electric motors, I've used this on everything. I've used it on clock mechanisms, and people will say, "Oh, that's too heavy to use on a clock mechanism." Well, I argue that one because I've used it on several, and some of them are very old, and they're still working and keeping good time. And I'm talking mechanical clocks, like a grandfather clock I used. I got a grandfather clock I found at the side of the road a number of years ago, before I was shooting videos. Otherwise, I would have done a video on the restoration of it. But it was all completely seized up, and I lubricated all the mechanism with this very oil, and that was probably 10 years ago. It's still working and keeping good time. So if someone tells you you can't use this stuff, tell them to go pound sand. You can. It works fine. Okay, the new belt. Let's put the new belt in. And then we'll put the motor back in. It just clips in. You have to get the little pegs lined up here that are going to go, because like this little plastic bearing here has to go into this hole. So you have to get everything lined up, and then it'll just clip it together and it'll just pop together. So once you get everything lined up, it'll just snap together like that. And now I can pull the belt. I'll put the long screw back in here and put in the ground wire. To hold it together. And then we're going to, and now we just need to pull the belt around the pulley here. So for that, I'll grab the dental pick. Got a number 617 and a number 623. I wonder if these really are real dental picks. Made in USA anyway. Got these from Radio Shack many years ago. And they do a good job for fishing belts and stuff into place. Just like that. And there we go. Mechanism now turns like it's supposed to. Next we'll put the circuit board back into place. And it just clips in just like that. And a little clip that pops down up top here. Right there. It clips in place. And then this one screw that holds it down goes in through there. That's taking care of that. Now let's mount the unit back into the chassis and reconnect the belt for the tape counter, because that's got to loop around this little pulley here. And it's going to be easier probably to put it around the pulley first and then loop it around the tape counter after the fact. So we'll take the belt and we'll loop it around the pulley here. I think it's got to go around here first. And then generally what I do is I just hook them onto something to keep them out of the way so that the belt won't fall off the pulley while I mount the rest of the machine, the deck. Drop the deck into place and reset the 4 screws. Okay, now I can pull the belt back over here and put it around this little pulley. I gotta kind of be careful that I don't drop the belt inside, or else I'll have to take it all apart again to retrieve it, but if we keep the belt under tension to some degree, should be able to do this. It's a little more tricky, but it's possible to get the belt where it belongs. Now when I turn the tape hub, you should see the belt turning. I can't turn the tape hub because it's locked, but I can see the belt moving. Therefore I know it's going to be okay. I can put the various plugs back into place now. It's going to figure out where they all go. Crappy design. Fortunately, they all have different numbers of pins on them, so it's pretty tough to get them mixed up. They're either white or black, and they have a specific number of pins, so they're only going to plug into the correct location. And there should be one more that goes in right here. You can remount the front portion of the deck to the rest of the chassis. Put the sync and remote plugs back in. They just go through the holes and then they pop back through like that. Okay, units back together. Cassette door opens as it should. Let's plug it in and see where it goes through the motions. Fast forward. Rewind. Play. Reverse play. Forward play. Let's try this thing out and see how it performs. So I'll play forward. Reverse. So let's do a recording on it. I can't obviously let that tape play for more than a few seconds because it's not royalty-free content that's on it, but it does work in both directions. Rewind, fast forward, play, and pause, back into play. Let's clean the head on this thing and clean the pinch rollers and stuff, and then we'll get the speed calibration tape and we'll test it for speed. I know someone's probably going to say change the pinch rollers in it. No. Not going to change the pinch rollers in it. It's my deck. It's not going to get really any use. And if I sell it to somebody, that's their problem. The pinch rollers in here do not look to be in bad shape. They're nice and still nice and soft. That head has a little bit of wear on it. It's not too bad. Okay, time for a speed calibration. Got my speed tape loaded up. A little bit slow. Looks close enough for me. I do get a kick out of these cassettes though, because these look like they've had labels stuck over top of the original labels. I wonder what brand this tape really is hiding underneath here. Let's just peel this label off and see whether we can see what brand this tape really is, or whether it's gonna rip. Probably gonna rip, but there's definitely a second label on this tape. And this brand of tape, Universum, is just they've just bought somebody else's tape and stuck a label over top of it. Oh, check this out. Check this out. It says 90 minutes here, but the original label under here says 60. You gotta wonder, what the heck? Did some reseller just buy a bunch of tapes and just relabel them, or did they reload them? You gotta wonder where this cassette came from. It's almost like, you know, somebody bought a bunch of shells and just reloaded them or something. Because I mean, one says 60. I guess we'll have to time it and see how long it goes for. Is it a 60 or is it a 90? But whatever they did, they didn't bother to take the original label off when they marketed this tape. Incredible, huh? Just a cheap cassette that's going back for however long. This side looks like the label was removed on this side. Looks like it's just a label on one side, so I don't know what happened there at the tape factory, but that's what people used to use, believe it or not. They used to use crap like this. I bet you by comparison, this probably sounds pretty good to some of the crap that's sold today from the few manufacturers that actually still make cassettes. Let's do a test recording on this thing and just see how it performs. And yes, I'm going to record on this crap tape. We'll do another one on a proper tape. I just want to see the difference in sound quality between this old crap tape and a high bias tape. So let me just dig out something that we can use as a source, and we'll do a recording. It rewinds nice and quick. Look at how fast that thing's moving. That tape's moving along there pretty good. Auto stop should stop it, which it does, which is good. Now I will say I have made some changes to the music that's on my little MP3 player here, which I just knocked out the power to. I had music from both Music Bakery, which I've never had any issues with, but I had a collection of music from a company called Triple Scoop Music. Now, Triple Scoop Music distribute their music with, it came with, I think it was Video Studio. Royalty free, okay? It says royalty free music. You can use it in all of your productions. And I've been using it. Songs like that Candace Burns Smile song, and people have asked me what it was. I've used their stuff for a while because it came with one of my editing packages and it says totally royalty free, you can use it. And then I got a claim, and when I investigated the claim, it says, oh yeah, no problem, you can use our music on all of your private productions. You can use it on slideshows. You can use it as video on your home videos. And you can post all those to social media, YouTube, everything to your heart's desire, except if you monetize your videos, we will take the revenue. And if you don't monetize your videos, we will monetize it for you and we will take the revenue. It said nothing about that in the actual license that came with the software. It said you are free to use it. There was some little disclaimer in the electronic version of the license that said for non-commercial use. And anyway, I guess they deemed that a monetized YouTube channel was commercial use and they took the revenue. So I've done Triple Scoop Music the greatest of favors. I've removed all of their crap that I had on my on the SD card here, and I've replaced it with stuff from the YouTube music library. So music on here. I've still got Music Bakery because I own all the rights to all the Music Bakery stuff that I have. I've licensed it all, so I've left my Music Bakery stuff on here, but I've changed some of the other stuff now. So you might hear some different music on here now. Some of it might be good, some of it might be crap. You know how the YouTube music library works, right? Anyway, let's set the levels up on this thing. We'll do a recording on a couple different types of tape. So here we go. Something new from the YouTube music library. Don't ask me what it's called because I couldn't tell you. I'd have to actually go back and listen to it to match it. So don't ask what it is. I know what most of the Music Bakery stuff is because I've heard it so many times. But let's try a recording of this on this old garbage, very old tape. Back, I'm going to plug the output of the tape deck directly into the camera so you guys can hear the exact sound quality recorded on this crappy tape, and then we'll do it again with a better quality tape. So here is direct playback. Okay, now you guys have heard the difference between the Sony, because I've been cutting back and forth here, between the Sony high bias UX Type 2 tape and this piece of crap Universum Ferrochrome Super Professional This, of course, is a standard bias tape, and this thing's very old, but both the tapes are relatively well worn, as you can see. This one's probably well worn more than that one, but anyway, that's it. The TCRX400 is back in service. That's how you change a belt on one of these things. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That way you'll be notified of future videos. We'll catch you real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.